this is the new age. I'm so happy to be part of this new age of cleansing and to have met Daniel, to be introduced to Daniel, because he's a godsend, man. He is bringing something to the West that we have wanted, desired, hoped for, because all these years that I've been doing liquid plaque cleanses the old traditional way, and just the overall exhausting amount of coaching and nurturing and motivating that you have to do to get someone through those protocols is absolutely intense. And even then, with all of that, you're lucky to get a 50% pull through to completion. And even if they get through completion, the results are nothing compared to what we're experiencing with this special enzymatic cleanse that ZenCleanz brings to light. So I love it because it's less stress on the body, right? That's one of the biggest things that we talk about in creating wellness strategies for our clients here in my company is, if we're going over this information and this is providing stress to you, then we need to redesign it, right? Because a body in fear, a body in stress is not healing. And even when we talk about the cleanse, I walk everybody through the ups and downs of what to expect through the cleanse. I also educate them on the old school methodology so they can understand that you're in something very special and that you can absolutely do this, right? This isn't that hard, okay? I could pull some clients in here who've actually done both. And they experienced things when it was old school. And as soon as I got a hold of ZenCleanz, I was like, hey, come back. Let's cleanse again. Let's take a look at this new opportunity of what's going on and seeing how much further you can get, because I was blown away what came out of me, and I've been doing mucoid plaque cleanses for years. I'm just like, what? That was still in me? No way. I've been sweeping and brooming and silicone husking and honeys and juices and B vitamins and all the things of the old traditional therapies to try to maneuver this gunk out of my body. And I had plenty left to deal with. So it was a welcoming experience to see the release and to see it in a capacity I had never seen it before. Even going through the gallstone portion of it and to see all the grit that I still had left was really impressive. And I'm looking forward to do my next one. And I think once you start doing this type of cleansing, it's not just about cleansing anymore, because you understand the power of the enzymes. And you're like, it's just a beautiful treatment. It's just a beautiful way to treat yourself, to maintain your youth, maintain proper function and balance. But ultimately, with being someone who works with people for health transformations, long-term systemic change, I love how well it places people into something they didn't think they could obtain. Like, I no longer desire certain things. I don't have hunger, quote unquote hunger, any longer, right? And I'm like, well, how long would you like to have that? And they're like, oh man, well, I never thought about how long I could have it. I said, because you've just reset. You've just hit a whole new level. And the things that were signaling those types of responses for you have been toned way down. So you have a new opportunity because there's not as much chemical pull to those substances any longer. So you have the best opportunity to abstain without pain. And people tend to gravitate towards that. So we're like, so this will be a good time to get off of processed sugars. Yep, be a great time. How about a great time to relinquish your alcohol issues? How about a great time to step into a new methodology of eating overall and just take it on and just see what your body can accept now that you're in a whole new state. You know, in our last internal group cleanse within my practice, she was blown away. She was like, she lost a combined total of 6 inches on her body. This is on the rainbow cleanse in 7 days. 6 inches on her body. All that inflammation starting to go away. But what she was almost in tears about was she was like, there were 4 foods that she can now eat that she couldn't eat prior. And I've known her for a long time. When we first started a couple of years ago working together, she couldn't tolerate hardly any raw vegetables at all. And so constantly having runny stool and not having the capacity to actually break those foods down very well. And now here she is literally eating quote unquote taboo foods now, as if it's totally normal to eat them. And we're talking about tomatoes and a few other things that some people tend to have a lot of issues with, that have been told, you know, you're allergic to these foods, which is very much misleading, to everyone, you know. So it's very good to see the benefits that come along for the ride, right? And with my people that I can evaluate for longer periods of time, I love the long-term benefits of seeing people continue to experience things in their bodies, composition. They're not fighting anymore with gaining weight. It's just all of a sudden they find themselves a little bit month after month getting a bit leaner and leaner without fighting for it. And I'm like, how cool is that? You know, you can't beat that with a stick. And in today's age, when everyone is really fighting against metabolic syndromes and whatnot, this is a wonderful tool to step people off with. So in my practice, we run one program for the public, and it's either 6, 12, or 18 months long. Everybody starts with this product now, period, because it's too easy, right? And so we wanted to get to a spot, you know, because we've always known that we need to cleanse. We need to continue to cleanse throughout our time working with them. But it was always so arduous before that you would have to kind of start in other ways, build up their confidence to go do this big thing. And ZenCleanz is not a big hill to climb. It's just not. It's like you settle into one day, you relax and do your thing and do a bit of self-care and drink the products, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and things kind of just start happening. And it's not necessarily always aggressive, but you can't determine what the response is going to be, but there's going to be a response, and the body will respond to this cleanse. And so I appreciate all of the wisdom that's gone into it and the care of how it's being managed, with Daniel and his team. I think the way that they're managing it and bringing it to the West is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And we're not even scraping the surface yet. Not even. So I'm very interested. I try to share this information with other practitioners because we all need this. We all need it more than we can ever possibly conceive. And there's a lot of folks out there that have never even heard of what mu-quit plaque is. They have no clue that they're walking around with this. And this is absolutely one of the biggest catalysts to why so many people are still fussing over healing their gut, right? They're like, I've been working on gut protocols for 2-3 years to heal my gut. Well, they've never gone down to the base. And until you get down to the base level, you're going to continuously have ups and downs. You know, you might get a little bit of quote unquote microbiome balancing, but if you're not well, it doesn't matter. You're not well. Why? Because the environment is still there. So the repopulation of enemies continue. This is the safest and swiftest methodology to eliminating gut issues, period, in my opinion. And it simplifies so much for people that they don't necessarily have to chase every probiotic on the market or enzyme solution and shifting all these weird foods that they're not, you know, it's not in their culture, and provide, again, more confusion, more stress, more angst, and that resists. The body will resist healing, right? So there's a lot of ignorance from this, you know, so-called medical industrial complex we have, and a lot of people are trapped into that matrix. I think this is the tool to help people transition. It's a great tool. We are getting such great results in getting people to align for their journeys. We're getting more compliance with our clients because in the first 30 days with us, they do ZenCleanz, they do Rainbow, and they come out and they're like, I can't believe I've lost this many inches already, and my weight is better, my skin's starting to look good, and my thoughts are better. And I'm like, we have barely even got started, right? So what we have learned is there's a lot of simplicity to wellness, right? Execution and learning about the truth of who and what you are is more complex for a lot of people who've been stuck in the old ways. So trying to get them to shift their mind first. ZenCleanz helps the mind because people can see what comes out. You know, my client today, who's in the middle of his, he was like, I saw beings coming out of me that I did not know were along for the ride. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, some were long, some were short. And I'm like, so what does that make you think about life? He's like, well, one, I know I'm no longer alone. Two, he's like, I'm not alone in this thing. I'm like, no, you're not. You are not alone in here. And so he's, you know, he's kicking out parasites like crazy that undetected, unnoticed, undiscussed. Okay. And now he's like, it's crazy, you know, what I'm going through, but I'm feeling really good going through this. And I can't believe what my body is pushing out and that that's inside of me. And I go, guess what? You have teenage kids. It's in them. It's in your wife. It's in your family, your brothers and your sisters that you grew up with. It's in mom and dad. It's everywhere because we are their preferred host. They've had a relationship with us for millennia. So if we don't learn how to leverage the ancient wisdom of balancing this relationship, we're never going to get back to our true lifetime of opportunity here on this, in this realm. We'll never be able to extend our pattern back to what it used to be. And that's a big part of my journey, is living in the philosophy of longevity. You know, in this concept of time that we're trapped in here, and we've been lied to about our natural ability. I just happen to be in a family that has plenty of history and referenceable articles to show family members that have easily lived over 120 years. So I know it's a capacity within my family and within my genetics to have this, right? And we're talking, you know, people get wrapped up around foods and all that good stuff, and they can get very religious with what foods they pick. But I'm like, I've got just 1 to 2 generations ago, people living over 120, and they ate all of nature. Okay. They didn't have to go be extreme and just eat one thing on the planet. That's some people's approach. It's not my approach. It's not the approach that I think is actually necessary. But everybody's got to find their own vibration with whatever they choose to use as information for their body, if you're ready and when you're ready. And I feel that this is one of the easiest doors to open to the masses on earth today, to allow them to have one of the most significant changes in their wellness that they're ever going to experience at a value, at an impeccable value.